actually in the office type thing. I would just have it switched on by the time I would get back home. But yeah, on at the moment.
Yeah,
that's the one thing I miss in my office. The free heater.
The radiators. You miss your radiators.
Yeah, indeed.
Oh yeah, I share an office where in the business school, some people like the heat, and then others don't like the heat, so they have all.
Yes. Yeah, I know.
And I'm the type of person that will hug the heater.
Uh-huh.
Next to another program administrator that has the windows open fully. So yeah.
Yeah, I heard that. I heard that sort of argument.
Did also snow in Glasgow? There was a little bit of snow here in Edinburgh yesterday.
It snowed in Glasgow, I think 2 days back at like 2:30 a.m. and everybody was going crazy over it. But
All right. It's already gone here. It melted. It snowed yesterday.
Yeah. People just went down and was just outside for like 5-10 minutes and they came back up because it was just for 5-10 minutes.
Yeah.
The first snowball fight of the year.
Yeah. Okay, I think we can probably make a start. I'm guessing, 105 people. I think that's us probably. So hello everyone. So we had the revision session first, and now we have our usual Q&A session. And obviously, given that we are end of the semester, we will talk a bit about the exam. And we are joined by Claire Cameron. So thank you, Claire. So especially if you have more technical questions about how the exam will work, etc., let's have those questions first, because Claire will be able to help us as much as possible. And then, we don't want to take her too much of her time. So let's begin with that type of questions. Then we can move on to questions related to more the material, etc. Okay. So who would like to ask the first question? Go, Shanice. Yes, you are king. Go ahead.
It might seem a bit stupid, but it's been happening quite often during the week. So randomly during the day, we would have the fire alarm go off and we all expect it to go down. So I just wanted to know, because I'm aware that this exam is going to be timed. It's a 2-hour exam. So what do I do in a situation that I'm writing the exam and the fire alarm does go off? I mean, I can't continue to write the exam. I am ideally supposed to go down even if it's a false alarm or something. So.
It's a timed exam, isn't it?
Yes.
Right. Throughout the semester, you will have some of you might have already sat in course exams where each time you sat the exam, you might have seen the buffer zones change slightly. It went from like 15 minutes for an hour exam. It went from 15 minutes, and then it went up to sort of like 45 minutes. For the degree exams, for timed exams, you will get 100% extra time.
Okay.
Now, if your fire alarm goes off in the middle of it, technically you're supposed to leave the building and then wait and come back in. Hopefully, you'll have enough time to complete the exam within that 4-hour period type thing. However, if you don't, we would recommend that you submit a good cause claim, because I'm sure you'll probably be able to provide evidence from the housing officer.
Yes.
Officer.
Yeah.
Building officer to say that the fire alarm has gone off during the exam, and we'll be able to check up on it, and then it'll be reviewed at a good cause meeting type thing. But hopefully, fingers crossed that
nothing happens during that.
Nothing happens. Yeah. But what we during a timed exam, we just recommend students to start where they left off and try and complete as much as they possibly can. And then if you're not able to complete your exam paper, submit a good cause for underperformance, because
I get it. I got it.
You might end up having to extend the exam slightly further, but we don't know until the day of the exam.
Yes. So we do have if it's a 2-hour exam, do we have 2 hour extra or do we have an hour extra?
2 hours. The university has now decided that you will have 100% extra time for a timed exam. So if timed with a timed, you will have, instead of 2 hours, you will have a total of 4 hours to complete the exam in.
Thank you. Also, sorry, an additional question. So we actually just had some positive cases in my apartment. We just got informed yesterday. So we've all been asked to self-isolate. So as of now, I do not have any symptoms. But in cases if I do develop really bad symptoms and I'm not able to give the exam, would I have to use the good clause form again?
Yeah, put in a good cause form, yeah, for that, because that's something that is definitely something out with your control.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? We are in the middle of preparing some student correspondence that will be sent out for both from the undergraduate student information point page and the postgraduate. We are in the middle of updating the school's online exam information area. There will be updated student user guides on guidance for exams. We're also building a test area. So once that's prepared, students will be sent a link so that they can actually just practice what will actually happen during an exam. You can get to see how the actual setups are working. There is also university guidance as well, and for some schools, they will sit the exam slightly differently. They have to download a booklet and write their answers in the booklet and then upload that, but we're not doing that. We're just, students are able to write or use any type of uploads that they want, like we did during your assignments and your in-course exams as well. We're not changing how we upload answers anyway. So we just don't want you to go into the university middle pages and find out that, Claire said that we weren't going to have to use this, but the university is recommending that we do. We're not using that. We will send you information on how that our school will be doing the exams, because there's some students who are doing joint degrees and they're coming like from engineering type things, so they may have a slightly different setup for their exams, but we'll make sure that our sandbox is available to students to practice in, so that there'll be no surprises on the day of your exams. Unfortunately, I can't tell you the exam questions, sorry.
That would have been good.
My job's not worth it. Any other questions? No?
So would we be accessing our exam questions on Moodle, or would we be getting a separate link to access the final exam questions?
What will happen is the exam paper will be uploaded as a PDF document, and it will be available from you from the start of the exam. You'll most likely have to take the declaration of originality to be able to access it. But the assessment section in of your Moodle course page will hopefully be available to you a week in advance, so you can actually see the different. If you have to answer 2 questions out of 4, or if it's sectionalized, you'll actually see the fact that there's different sections. We're asking students to upload their questions to individual areas, like upload your answer to question 1 here, upload your answer to question here. So you'll be able to see how the actual section is set up, but you just don't have access to the paper until the morning of the exam. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, for this course, there'll be 3 questions. So you will have 3 pieces of documents to upload, basically. Yanni, I think you have a question. Go ahead.
Hello, professors. Hello, Claire. Hello, everybody. Well, just to be sure, this examination, we will have 4 hours to complete, right? To finish 4 hours?
Yes, what will happen is we have the university have advised all schools and subject areas that for timed exams, all students will have 100% extra time. So if we were in a normal environment where you'd be sitting your exam in an exam hall, sitting at the lovely little tiny little desk with your little notebooks and your pens, you would only have 2 hours. But because of the environment that we are in, all timed exams will have 100% extra time. So you can open your exam paper. It should only take you 2 hours to write, and then you do have an additional 2 hours to upload your answers. We do recommend not upload your answers like with 5 minutes to go, just in case you do technical issues. We do have undergraduate students who do that. Will write up the very, very last minute, but just make sure that if you know that your Wi-Fi at certain times of the day can slow down, just make sure that you have left yourself plenty enough time to upload your answers, okay?
Okay, thank you. And I have another question. The thing is, well, I like writing the answer on the paper with pen instead of typing.
You can write your answers. What we'd recommend you do is write your answers, and if you're even typing your answers and you're using graphs or anything, what to do is put your student ID on your written paper and upload them as separate documents. So if you're going to answer 3 questions, make sure that you have them as 3 different documents when you upload them. So you could have like 4 pages for question 1, 3 pages for question 2. Just make sure that you upload it to the different sections, naming, and try and sort of like name them so that we can piece them together type thing, so that they're read in a sensible order.
Okay, I'll just scan them and save them as a PDF document and upload.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, that would be fine. That would be nice. And another question is that I saw the exam paper in the past years. I noticed that
she's frozen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's frozen, yeah. Bad connection.
So don't submit your answer.
I don't know.
That's exactly.
We missed your question.
Yeah, you froze. We lost you for a few seconds.
Can you hear me? I'm
sorry. We can hear you now.
Well, I will ask you again. I noticed that usually in the past few years, we will have 4 questions and choose 3 of them to answer. Maybe this year, will we have 4 questions and choose 3 of them to finish?
We've already announced this a couple of times, so there will be 3 questions this year.
No selection, no choice, choice.
Okay.
Compulsory.
Okay. Thank you. That's all. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
No problem. There are 2 questions in the chat. Maybe I just read that aloud, and Claire, if you'd like to say a few words.
Yeah, no, I'm just reading them as well. I'm working with 2 computers here type thing.
Sure.
I'm on a tiny little screen at the moment.
How are you? Okay.
Can we start exam anytime during exam day, or do we need to start it on the fixed hour? Is yours timed within a fixed window or timed within 24 hours?
Timed within 24 hours.
So students can start the exam whenever they want during that period of time, and then they can just upload it.
Yeah.
We're actually in the middle of discussing formatting for timed within the 24 hours windows to find the best way to set them up. Once we find a better how other schools are doing timed within windows, we will make sure that we make it as simple as possible for students to be able to upload their answers. There's some written exams in timed within a 24-hour window where we've had to use a quiz setup because Moodle assignment doesn't allow us to time opening and closing within a 24-hour period. So we might have to use some different functionality, but we'll make sure that both the online exam area and the sandpit area that we will use will allow students to practice uploading and answering that type of format of exam. Okay, I'm just scrolling down. Can we use financial calculator for the exam? I think that's one for you.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose you can. I mean, I don't see a problem personally, unless there's any university or school restriction on that. You know, from my point of view, you can.
Okay.
I mean, it's going to be an open book exam as well, so we are not going to check anyone's calculators.
I know.
Yeah.
Don't think we can. I will if the school will pay for me to go along.
There you go.
And there was a one.
Yeah, so we can maybe answer that content question later.
Yeah.
Yeah, content-related questions we will answer later.
Mhm.
Are there more questions related to the technicalities of the exam? Okay, there's one. The Balu asks, just to clarify, are we
Yes.
allowed to upload
Yes.
multiple files for each question?
Yes, you will be able to upload multiple files for each question. We will not limit the amount of files that students can upload, because we know that depending on what devices you'll be using to do your exams, it might take a couple of PDFs or a couple of pictures, etc. So we will allow multiple uploads for the exam. And you should, and we have set it up so you should be able to upload drafts as well within the time period. But do not hold me till that until I've actually clarified the exam setup for your page, so I can see exactly how it will be set up. I will liaise with Laura Morton from the LTI team to clarify how the ACFIN ACFIN exam will be set up. Yeah, we're still finding out information on whether or not Turnitin will be switched on during the exams as well. So.
Can I ask you something? So you said that you can, upload multiple documents. That's fine, but there's a limit in terms of the how to say the space. Is it
we can up? I think the maximum file size is 150 megabytes type thing, but I'm going to have to clarify, and I think that's for each file. The only issues that we've had this year for maximum file sizes is for video presentations that students been uploaded, and they do take a lot of memory. But for exam answers,
should be fine. Yeah, I think it
should be fine. However, I will investigate the issue, your exam setup, to make sure that students know exactly what format they will be uploading their in for this course, because I'm not part of that team, but I have access to all the exam papers, and I'll be able to liaise directly with the team to find out what setup is, and we will ensure any instructions for these exams are
great,
and will hopefully not raise any questions regarding upload issues, but we will definitely have a look into the instructions and the playgrounds that we're going to set up for students to actually have a go at.
Yeah, that'll be great.
And I'm just checking to see if there's anyone. When we use Excel to help us calculate will the exam be if we leave the middle. When we use Excel to help us calculate will the exam be terminated if we leave the middle interface? No, it shouldn't. What we'd recommend you do is just make sure that page is open. There should be no issue closing middle down to work on another format. Exam papers you'll be able to open them up in a different area, so you can download the exam paper while you're working in your exam paper, but it shouldn't terminate your middle session.
Yeah, that's an important point. I mean, you will be able to download the exam paper. So once you do that, you can actually just view that and prepare your answers wherever you like. And then at the end, you will simply upload them back into the system.
Mm-hmm. I'm just checking, making sure I've caught all the questions. If anyone does have any questions, I'm afraid I have another meeting to go to. However, we will be sending out communications via the student information page. So you to the online exam information areas. We are building playgrounds for students to have a practice of the different types of exams that we will use, and there will be someone available. I was going to say 24 hours, but there's not a chance. We usually try and respond to all student queries within 24 hours. We do not work at weekends, so if you email us Friday night, you won't get a response till Monday. But we will happily look into any other questions that students have. There will always be IT support and school support on hand throughout the exam time as well. So there'll be someone available to answer any questions that, even if IT issues, it could be a case of, we all know that Moodle does crash on occasion, like all systems around the world. So we hopefully, if anything major happens like that, then there'll be, I think it'll be a university-wide decision, maybe to postpone exams type thing. But that's a worst case scenario, I think. But I'm just wanting to put it out there just in case something happens in the exam that in the Moodle just completely crashes. I know it has crashed on me before, and I've panicked thinking that I've broken it. But I like breaking systems, don't worry. I can blame. But as I said, if you have any questions, once we send out student correspondence on the exams, you can send me an email privately, you can Teams me, you can get in contact with Betty, and you're free to pass on any questions to me, and I'm happy to respond to any other questions that you may have. Okay.
Thank you very much, Claire.
Thank you, Claire.
You're welcome. Thank you. Nice seeing you.
Thank you.
Actually, nice to meet Betty for the first time.
See you later.
See you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Okay, I think there are a couple
Sorry,
of
I have to go.
questions.
I have to go in 10 minutes. I have another call.
Yes.
In 10 minutes.
Yes, that's fine. That's fine. I can continue, no problem.
Okay.
So we have a couple of other questions. Someone was trying to ask a question, I think. Did anyone?
Hello.
Hi, Yushin,
Hello?
go on.
Yeah, I still am confused about the time limit about our examinations. Should it be 2 hours or 4 hours?
Okay, let's make it crystal clear. So we prepared the exam as a 2-hour paper. Okay, so we expect you to spend 2 hours on the exam paper. You don't need to spend more than that. So the exam paper the questions in the exam can be solved or designed to be solved within 2 hours. So if we didn't have the pandemic, you'll be sitting in an exam hall and having 2 hours to finish this exam. However, because of the pandemic and because we are doing this remotely, we have given you additional 2 hours time, but that 2 hours is really meant to be spent on issues related to uploading, or, if you have things like a fire alarm going off and so on. Okay, so you will have 40 hours in total from start to finish. And our expectation is that you will spend 2 hours on the exam paper and the remaining time on other aspects. And don't leave it. So don't spend 3 hours, 55 minutes on the paper and 5 minutes uploading, because if something goes wrong, they're uploading, then you have no excuse, right? Because we give you 2 hours for that, right? So that's the whole point. So
okay,
yeah, it's clear now, right?
But please forgive me, I still want to ask. So you mean once we click the begin buttons and the timer will show there will be 4 hours, right?
Yes.
Oh, okay, thank you. That's great.
But again, don't spend 3 hours, 55 minutes. That's what I'm saying, right?
Okay.
If something goes wrong, it's your responsibility. If something goes wrong and if you can't upload, then you will fail, right? So there's a reason that additional 2 hours is given. It's not given for you to spend 2 more hours on the questions.
Okay,
it's given.
Okay, please. Okay.
Yes, it's given to deal with any potential problems. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, there were a couple of questions in the chat that we didn't address. The proportion for the questions regarding calculations and writing, we can't give exact percentages, so we can't say 70 or 30, and it's not as clear cut, but it will be more writing, definitely, right? So it will be more about it's more about critical evaluation, discussion, and so on. You will still need to make calculations. You will still need to use figures provided in the date in the questions. Okay, so there will be calculations involved, but it will be a much smaller portion. And I think we've uploaded the August resit paper. Have a look at that. That should give you some idea about what to expect. Then someone asked, will the questions be the same for all students, or are they going to be different? I will answer this with a question. Would that affect your preparation? Would that affect how you prepare for the exam? It shouldn't, right? So I think that that's the answer for that one. And again, what proportion of calculation and writing? I think we've answered this. Will this exam gonna be harder than before? It's not meant to be harder. Given that it's open book, the style of the questions will reflect that it is open book. Okay, so that's the thing to keep in mind. I mean, think of it this way. So, for example, if we asked you portfolio variance in a normal exam, if you don't remember the formula, you wouldn't be able to answer that. But with the open book, you can check the formula and answer, right? So therefore, we've designed the questions to bear in mind that you have access to open book. If we were to use graphs in our exam answers, how would you recommend going about drawing and uploading them? We are flexible in that. So if you want to simply draw on a piece of paper, you can do that. That's absolutely fine. You can either take a photo of that, or you can scan it and then upload it either way. So that's absolutely fine. Or I don't know, if you want to use Microsoft Paint or even Excel to produce some graph and copy paste it into your answer, that's fine as well. So we are not going to be picky about how you produce the graph. We'll be, you know, if we ask you to produce a graph, we'll be just interested in whether you got it right or wrong. So the tool you use is much less, it's not really important. What's important is, you know, to get the graph right if we ask you to draw anything, basically.
Can I ask my take on the question?
Mm-hmm.
I think that in general, it depends on what you think is the most sensible way to use your time in the exam. If you think that, I can imagine for me, I'll just draw by hand, because I think that for me, drawing by hand will be easier. But
Yes.
if you're very good with, you know, producing graphs using software, then just go for that. Again, no, we are not going to say, oh, this looks pretty, so I'm going to give you more points. No, right? It's like whether this is right or the right way to approach the question. So again, I think that in all the questions, just think of the most sensible way for you to use your time. And spreadsheet, if that can help you answer the question quicker, much quicker way, use that. Okay. But if you think that you're very good with calculations, you can get it by hand, you know, very, very quickly, just go for it. Again, this open book format really gives you more flexibility in terms of how you can answer the question. Okay, so that's my take.
So for calculations, it would be important to have steps, right? Like to show the steps you have taken, right?
Yes, I think that's a safer.
Yeah.
Just in case that your answer is not really quite right, at least there's something.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I mean, think of it this way: you just give a final answer and it's wrong, right? Then we can't give you any points. Right? But if your steps are correct, and if you have a small calculation error, and if your final answer is wrong, we can follow those steps and can give you marks. Yeah. Right. So I think that's the better approach, definitely. Okay, a couple of more questions. Are we expected to upload all answers at once or by following the question sequence? Right. So you will upload question by question, and I believe the sequence doesn't matter. So as long as you upload everything before your time runs out, you are fine. So if you attempt question 3 first, you can answer it, upload the answer, and you are done. Then you can start working on question 1 or question 2. So that order, I believe, is not important. What's important is to upload everything by the end of the allocated time.
Just the same way as you would do in a normal situation,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, in general, I would suggest you to organize, and that's why the extra time is given as well. So to organize your files, the ones that you will use to upload, well, and that's the one purpose of the additional 2 hours. So it becomes much better if you save us the trouble of searching things here and there. So I would suggest for each question, I would suggest, if possible, one file would be ideal where everything is together. But we will allow you to submit multiple files, that's fine. And then in that case, just make sure in those files you make it clear that, look, I've uploaded this as a separate file.
Yeah,
Okay?
just label them, label
Indeed.
them clearly. 2.1, 2.2, 2.3, something like that.
So we can then follow up and make sure we don't miss out any files that you have uploaded and so on. Okay, we are all humans. This is a large course, so you need to help us as well. And that's one
help
purpose.
us help you, like I always said.
Yeah, this is one purpose of the additional 2 hours. Okay,
I have to go. I have to go.
Yes, go.
So I have to go. So good luck, everybody. Okay, and good luck with your exam.
Bye, Betty. Thank you.
Thank you. For my part, just email me. Okay. Okay. Talk later. Bye. No, talk later. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, so let's see what else. When we do the calculations, do we need to post the process? Yes, I think we've already answered this. You have to provide the steps so that we can, because the risk there is if you just put the final answer, if it's wrong, we can't give you any marks. Okay. Yeah, I think so. I didn't miss out. So someone asked me about uploading the video for the review class. I think it should upload automatically. I clicked the record button, so I'm hoping that it will automatically upload. Any other questions? Mm-hmm. You can. With the Excel spreadsheet, I mean, you need to be clear about what you want us to see, right? So we won't have time to go in detail your Excel spreadsheet, check your all formulas and so on. Okay, so you can use Excel for calculations and so on, but again, coming back to the earlier questions, you should show the steps of your calculations, right? I can't spend half an hour going over your Excel spreadsheet, right? 200 students, if I spend half an hour each student on an Excel spreadsheet, it's 100 hours. Okay, so that's why it's important that you upload your document as polished as possible, right? So to make our life easier and so on, right? So that will make everyone's job easier, and then there won't be any risk of overseeing any of the material you actually you created to answer that question. So will the Excel work and be considered as the process we've taken to calculate? So the files you uploaded there will be part of your answer, but that must be understandable to us. If you put an Excel spreadsheet with no explanations, what do I do with it? Right? What do I do with it? So I think just follow common sense, right? As long as you follow common sense, I don't see any problems, right? So for most of I think for our course, to be perfectly honest, you won't need to rely too much on Excel spreadsheets or anything like that, right? So the questions, I mean, look at the past papers. How much do you think you will need to use Excel for? Okay. Okay, another question. So can we edit our answers even after uploading them? That's a good question. Maybe we should double check this because I'm not an expert. My common sense would tell me yes. So I believe if you upload one document and later if you are unhappy, I'm guessing you will be able to delete it and re-upload the new one, okay, within the 4-hour window. But this is a good question. So I will ask this to Claire, and maybe if I get anything to the contrary, I will let you know. But I believe you should be able to do that. Okay. And if you want, you can ask her directly as well.
Just have a question regarding, you said that if we use an Excel to use our calculation, then we have to like mention what we expect you to find in the Excel sheet, right?
Yeah.
So I think there's going to be like word counts for each question, like expected word count. So I'm just wondering, like if we exceed the word count, will there be a penalty or something of that sort?
I mean, so yes, so especially for discussions, etc., there will be a word count. I think the word count is fairly generous.
Okay.
So I don't think you will struggle to give a good answer within that word count. If you exceed that word count, then, as a marker, my job would be to, read the material you've put within the word count. So anything after that, I can simply omit. Okay. So that's the risk of reading the word, exceeding the word count. Okay. But as I said, I don't think you should be worried about that, because for the type of questions we ask, we set the word count accordingly. So we believe that a strong answer can be given within that word count.
Okay, so it's not necessary for us to meet the word count. I mean, if we feel our
No, you
answer
don't
is less
need to
than-
meet it. No, not at all. Not at all. And don't feel that if I write more, I'll get a better grade. It doesn't work like that, right?
Yeah, that's what I wanted to check, because
Yeah.
it's a different system everywhere. Because in India, it used to be the more you write, the better your grade is. So
Yeah,
that's
but
what I just
it's the same here as well. I mean, I've worked at different institutions as well, and essay questions, sometimes students they write as much as they can, they fill the space. But what is important is that what you write must be relevant to the question, right? If parts of your answers in your, let's say, mini essay, if they are not related to the question being asked, you simply won't get marks from those parts. Okay, you will get marks from the parts that are relevant to the question.
Okay.
So the best thing is to stay focused on what the question asks and give convincing answer that shows that you have a good, a solid understanding of what's being asked from you, right? There is a maximum word count, but there's no minimum. Okay. Again, the purpose of the... Sorry, 1 second. The maximum... 1 second, please. The purpose of the maximum word count is really to make sure that, you don't submit a document that is 15 pages long. Okay. Right. Sorry.
Excuse me, sir. There are many discussing type questions in the past exam papers. So what kinds of answers are you willing to give high points?
Okay, that's a good question. I've already said one thing, that your answer should be relevant to the question. So if you put answers that doesn't address the question, that wouldn't be a good answer. So keep it relevant. And we would like to see that you didn't simply memorize things, or not simply sort of copy pasting from the slides or whatever. We would like to see that you have a true understanding of the question that's being asked. Okay. So in your answer, so if I, ask you to ask you to critically evaluate the CAPM model, right? A question like that. So then I would like to see how much you really understand the CAPM model. And if you just write the equation of the CAPM there, and you say, oh, okay, expected return is related to beta, fine, but that demonstrates a basic understanding. You would get a mark, but that wouldn't be an A mark, not even a B mark, okay? So to get the A's and B's, we would like to see that you have a strong understanding of the question and that you can offer critical evaluation as well, okay?
I noticed that the question asked us to provide the references. So how many references should we provide for each question at least?
There's no magic number. Again, it's not so much about the quantity, to be perfectly honest. You might get a very good answer with 2 references. You might get a poor answer with 20 references. Again, what's more important is that what the references you use should be relevant and should signal us that, okay, this guy does actually know what they are talking about, okay? They have a solid understanding, they are aware of the issues, they are aware of the concepts, okay? So if you can demonstrate that, then that's what we are looking for.
So the references should be Harvard, or we can use APA like anything else?
I'm not concerned at all about how you reference them. Try to just make it consistent. As long as you offer a consistent style, that is absolutely fine, okay? Definitely, like in your answer, provide the citation. For the full reference, again, I mean, it's great if you can provide the full reference in a precise way, like, you know, the page numbers, volume, issue, but they're not the most critical bits, okay? So don't be over obsessed. Don't be over obsessed about given the, you know, correct issue, volume number, page number, and so on. What's more important is that what really matters is for us that you've actually read the paper and you know what that paper is all about, right? And reflect it in your discussion. It's a lot more important than that you provide a page number of that reference, right?
Okay, thank you.
So if we do use a paper in our answer, then we can just, is it okay if we just cite the name of the author and the paper? Do we have to correctly put it in the Harvard format or APA?
Yeah, so let's say Fama French. So in your essay, you would say Fama and French 1993 did this, did that. And then it'd be good if you could have sort of a references at the end saying, given at least the title and the year of the paper. Because, you know, Fama and French they have many papers, for example, right? But again, if you don't have time left for the pages, volume, issue, I wouldn't be concerned about that, all right? Any final questions? We need to finish very soon, but if you have another couple of questions, I'm happy to answer.
Yes. Is there a expected structure for the small essay questions?
I think it's reasonably flexible. Make sure that your answer is coherent, okay? So that you don't jump from one thing to another, okay? Apart from coherence, I think there's no, let's say, strict structure, okay? There's not a strict structure that you need to follow. Just write it in a fluent and coherent way. I think that those are the more important bits, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Any final questions? Okay, then. So nice talking to you all, and thank you all, especially to those of you who turn cameras. We always appreciate that. It's nice seeing faces. good luck with all of your exams, not just this course. It's been nice teaching you even under these circumstances. We didn't really manage to engage as much as we could, which is a big shame. But keep in touch. If you have questions later on, I will still have my office hours, or you can email me. And I hope once the exams are over, you can relax a bit, and hopefully if the restrictions ease, you can also go around a little bit, because I know some of you guys are just, coming from abroad and you would like to explore. I mean, I'm very bored sitting at home all the time. I can't imagine you guys. And that's it. Have a nice weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Bye
much.
for now. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you all.